Pardon all the mess, everything going on here. Focus your eyes right here. These two pieces of equipment, mainly this one. So what we got here is the Venom, or the Mini-Ductor Venom HP. It's their newest version. Pretty bulky. It's definitely not a small unit by any means. It has I was using it earlier. Has a twist to lock end on it, so if you look on right here, you see it lock, and this is the unlock portion. So if we just twist it, we can pull it out of there. The different I forgot what you call these things. I call them leads, I guess, for now. You have many different type of leads. You can you have long ones that you can like twist into whatever size you want or shape. And the idea here is probably best illustrated. So here we go. So this is what you can say. You want to apply heat to a corroded fastener, like a tie rod end or some part of the suspension, a strut, steering linkage or something, or to say somewhere that you don't want to have an open flame, like next to a fuel tank, or somewhere where you don't want to like maybe melt wires or something. This affords you to have well, don't have to make it up, precise, safe, and reliable heat. Now this has a time limit of 2 minutes that you got to let it run for. Pretty much a duty cycle. So pretty much 2 minutes on and then probably another 2 minutes off. I still gotta look at the specs. But that's what you can use this stuff for. And they do make other stuff. So here's a case in point where corroded fastener, and this thing, you just kind of wrap it around the unit, and it doesn't like, it inducts the heat there. This looks like a lug nut on an Acura or something. Yeah, there's a lug nut. O2 sensor. So it has many applications. Yeah, so here we go. O2 sensors, which are notoriously hard to get off. A lug nut, say that's really on there. Here we go. It's showing a couple. You got tie rod ends, so tie rod ends, especially with the rubber piece up there, you don't necessarily want to apply a open flame because you could damage that, especially if you're trying to reuse it. Behind these gears and stuff, there might be seals and stuff you don't want to heat up further, like make the situation worse. So that's just a few things. Last thing I'll say about this is, they do have stuff for bed liners, frame rails, supposedly, all this stuff. Auto glass, some graphic stuff, graphics removers. But these are all the different like things you can get. So you can get like this is like a 96-inch long one, which is super long. And then you can get the pre-roll ones, and it just matches the size of the bolt that you're using. And you don't want to see. So this shows an example. So this one shows that it's just right. That means it's not like fully wrapped around the unit. Well, it's wrapped around it, but it's not making contact with the unit. Like right here, this is like making contact with the bolt or the nut. This is not. And it shows you when they go bad. So anyway, we're gonna see how hot this thing gets. Find the coil. So the coil, like I said, this thing is focused. You got these two slots right there. You got a light indicator. Drop it in the slot and then twist it. Locks in. I mean, it's not. You can still pull it out and even insert it. So the twistle lock, you know, all it is like two little, you see those two little copper, you know, move, you see it move, all right, you see? So that's all you're locking. So it's not like a tight lock. It's not gonna bend this unit. And I mean, you wouldn't want it to, you just want like a positive retention on it. So this is a preform roll for, I don't know, maybe a 19 millimeter or something, 18, 19 millimeter. You just have to like shoot from the hip and see what size works for you. So this is, I mean, the reason I'm manipulating it is because for one, it's not plugged in, and then you got to press the trigger to get it going, right? And then I have a temperature gun right here to use to see a thermometer. So we're gonna see how the temperature changes. So I'm gonna plug this in and get right to it. And I'm using a standard, here we go, it's plugged in over there. Standard household outlet, 110, 120, whatever it is. So let's see if I can get this thing. So this is gonna be a two-handed operation. So we'll just try to, all right. So you hear the fan going, and we'll just put the trigger on it, try to get the beam. It's kind of fuzzy. So obviously this is gonna show a min and a max temperature. So it's saying 135, sorry. Release on here, try to refocus this a little bit. All right, let's try to focus on this a little bit. There we go. So it's pointing at that battery pack over there, and we'll just get the unit primed up in the background. Here we go. You're gonna see the laser. All right, so trigger is engaged, fan is going, and the laser is gonna be on that. There we go. And you see this thing records a min and a max. So this is me like occasionally depressing and releasing the trigger. Now it's not starting to glow red hot yet. So the maximum temperature is 352.2 degrees C. I don't have a timer going, but I'm gonna gauge what 2 minutes is. .460. Now this thing is starting to glow red hot. I mean, you can see it through the camera. 500 degrees C. I'm probably approaching 2 minutes, if not 2 minutes. I should have been looking. All right, so you have this on the head of the bolt, and it's glowing hot. I mean, you can see it's red hot. So yeah, you can feel the heat radiating off it. So I forgot what the max temperature we had gotten to, but it got actually it was about 500 and something degrees C. So as you can see, this thing gets super hot. You definitely, when you put this down, you definitely, obviously you don't want to touch any part of the business end of it. Any place forward of this green, you don't want to touch, and you want to let it cool down at least, you know, for a good 20 to 30 minutes before you touch it. And obviously the bolt that you're going to be heating up is going to glow red hot also. So that's going to be an obvious indicator, and that's when you can put your, you know, I'm going to put this right here, hanging over the plastic, and we'll see if we can get a good read on this. Sorry about the glare from the light. Up. Recage on the toolbox, I'll try to recage on. Find this in the crosshairs. There we go. So it cools down fairly fast. Still very much warm. But anyway, that's just the Venom. And I was just using a Fluke, a trusty Fluke 568 IR thermometer, measuring in degrees C was my unit of choice. As you can see, I have a min, a max, and then you're like kind of average on the go temperature there. But yeah, quick look. Definitely a good tool to have. I mean, a torch comes in handy also, but like I said, you might have to apply heat in an area that you don't want to have an open flame, and this is where this thing is going to shine. So unplug this thing and we'll let it cool down. That was actually the fan running. So we'll just leave it here overnight because I don't want to sit here and watch it. Obviously not something that you want to leave around. You don't want to like put it on the floor where you're going to step on it, especially if you're wearing little to no footwear. Definitely not something you want to leave to where a child will be able to touch it, or this thing is going to come in contact with anything. You definitely don't want to leave it plugged in because they can easily go there and just press the trigger. I know my son does that. And this trigger doesn't really have any, you know, it does not have a means to, actually, I had something I didn't show was the light. Hold up. I talked about it briefly. So here's our light. Has a little light switch down here, right by the trigger. Here we go. So it's like you have a off, doesn't have a glow, and then an on, a glow. Just kind of, so you can at least see your work. But yeah, that's it. Mini-Ductor, Venom HP, and just call it, for the hell of it, the Fluke 568 IR thermometer. Both great tools. Not cheap by any means. I guess none of these items are cheap, but they're definitely professional grade. But also very much applicable to your average DIY guy at home if you can afford it. As me always say, like on the hate thing.